Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and as you can see from those beginning clips, this build is pretty insane. I'm pretty much in love with this build at this point. I can throw it into the Dark Zone, into heroic missions, into PvE, PvP, anywhere I put it, it just seems to do really well, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And leading into that, just a little preface, unlike my Bleeding Bruiser build video where I said that's a pretty entry-level Title Update 6 build, this is certainly not. It takes a lot of farming and a lot of grinding and theory crafting to get it just right the way I have it set up, which is how I like it. It took a lot of grinding to get some very specific pieces, and so it's going to take you a while if you want to set this up, just so you know that going in beforehand. But hopping right into it, here it is. So I will go over the gun first because that's kind of the focal point of this whole build. It's the Diamondback, in case you don't know how to get it. It's from the Kenley College Expedition. Once you do all 3 wings, you can go claim it at the end. It's a guaranteed drop. And how it works is that against AI, an orange line will randomly mark an enemy nearby, and when you hit them, you get a buff, which gives you 20% total damage and a guaranteed crit, and then you get extra reload speed, extra total damage, and guaranteed crits for 15 seconds. And that is outside of the Dark Zone. And when you're inside the Dark Zone or in PvP, that's 5 seconds. And then against players, anytime you hit a headshot, that buff gets activated. And so this is a really high damage rifle that can put out some really good shots, especially when you stack the rest of the bonuses on this build, as you will see in just a second. So the rest of my weapons I will go over after I go over the gear here. I just wanted to get the primary out of the way so you understand where all these buffs are leading towards. So the first item is the mask. It's a Y'all mask named item called the Hollow Man. If you saw my video on it, this piece is really powerful because it allows you to get up to 100% hazard protection on your build, which I have on this build. So I have 76% hazard protection total on this piece because the brand bonus is giving me 10% along with the 66 from the attributes here. And then I have 561 skill power rolled, which I think is pretty close to the max. And that's giving me a lot of extra healing on my chem launcher. So yeah, and the other spot where I have hazard protection on this build is on my backpack. I have the regular insulated, which does stack with the perfectly insulated. So that's giving me over 100%, which is really nice. It gives you a lot of extra survivability without having to increase your armor because it means you can tank all of those different types of status effects. And yeah, it's really nice. So my chest piece then is a Overlord piece, which is giving me 10% rifle damage. And here's the option. You can swap a piece on this build for a second piece of Overlord because that gives you 7.5% total armor for the 2-piece. And that would increase your survivability. I've just chosen to go a little more damage oriented on this build, but it's really up to you what you want to do. So the attributes I have here, 19.5 total armor, 158 skill power, 11.5 weapon damage, and hardened. There's really no active chest piece talents that you need for this build, like you don't need Unbreakable or Vigilance, and without having one, it does increase your base armor, I believe, with that budget system. So yeah, if you just want to go without one, it's definitely fine. You don't really need any of them. And I like how this piece is rolled pretty much. I could maybe get higher skill power or flat armor instead, but I like how it's rolled. I like this one. And then I have a red rifle damage mod and a blue armor total armor mod here. And then on the holster, it is 1-piece Gila for the 5% total armor. And Gila holsters are pretty much my favorite item in the game because they have those 2 red mod slots. And this one's pretty god roll. I've been kind of saving these for a while. It's got really high base armor and then 14,494 health and 730 skill power, which is again making my chem launcher heal that much better. And then I have 2 red rifle damage mods on here. And then the backpack. This is the one piece on the whole build that is not finalized. This one I am trying actively to change, but it is proving very difficult because, as you'll see down here, I have 2 Y'all backpacks, but these are the only 2 damn ones I've ever found. One my friend found and he gave it to me, and one I found for myself, but neither of them have had good rolls. And these are just so extremely rare. It's rarer than any exotic or named item in the whole game because Y'all is exclusive to the Dark Zone, and it doesn't become targeted. So it's really hard to go in there, and I've just done so many landmarks, but I just can't find any more than these 2 yet. But once I do, and once they have the right rolls, I do want to swap that out for this Providence one that I have on, because that will give me the 2-piece of Y'all for an extra 5% weapon damage. But I would want pretty much the same rolls that are on this backpack that I'm using now, so it's easy enough to get an idea of what I would want there. So I have 6.5 weapon damage, 18.5% total armor, and 5,372 flat armor. and with the talents Spark and Insulated. So all I would want to change, along with it being a Y'all backpack, I would want higher flat armor. If I had around 15 or 20,000, that would really bump up my armor closer to 400,000. And then I would want Efficient instead of Spark, because Spark's not even active on this and it wouldn't really help that much anyway. I would still want Insulated because that's what's giving me the 100% hazard protection, so that is a must. And then I have a red rifle mod on here. And then the gloves, this is another named item called the Firm Handshake. They are Solokov brand, which is not really helping me out. It is giving me 10% SMG damage, so if you want to run that instead of what I have here, the Stoner LAMG, if you want to run an SMG for your secondary, you will have some extra bonus damage. But I found this gun to be pretty nice. They buffed it a little bit with Title Update 6, and it's not the best, not the best gun in the game, but I've just had fun using it. It does pretty good against players and NPCs. It's got Unhinged and Allegro, so I have good rolls there. You definitely, at least in my opinion, you should have a full auto gun for your secondary since your primary is a rifle. So yeah. Then back to these gloves, they have 12% rifle damage rolled on them, which is obviously a must for all the damage possible from your Diamondback. And the rest of the rolls on here don't really matter. It's just what this comes with, because the talent is what the main selling point here is, and it's perfectly wicked. So when you apply a status effect, you gain 20% weapon damage for 20 seconds, which is a huge buff. You need more than 4 reds to unlock this, but you'll easily get that with how this is set up. And even in PvP, when you activate those talents, it's still 20%. It's a really good talent. And so that is procced from the new exotic knee pads called Sawyer's knee pads. If you saw my video on these, you can get these from, it's a random drop in the world. So doing targeted knee pad activities and missions, that will get you these. And yeah, they're really strong. Basically how they work is that you get an extra 80% jam or pulse charge speed, and when you do cover-to-cover moves, you get disrupt effects and bonus armor for more survivability, and then those disrupt effects and the jammer pulse proc Perfectly Wicked, which give you the 20% weapon damage, and that can be refreshed. So if you do a cover-to-cover move and you proc it off one person and then you have 5 seconds left on the buff, you can use your jammer pulse and that refreshes it to 20 seconds right away. So the uptime on this buff is pretty insane, and that's what's letting me get those super high damage shots with the Diamondback. And on the knee pads, the mods I have are 2 blue armor total armor mods and 1 chem launcher skill power mod to get extra healing off of that. And then for my skills, I have the jammer pulse, of course, because that's giving me the super high charge speed. And then I have a chem launcher heal, which is only doing 57,619 in PvP, which is not the best, but I've found the balance that I've struck on this build to be pretty good. I've got a pretty good amount of heal and armor, and it's worked for me so far. The only thing I haven't gone over yet on here is my pistol, which I have protected reload. That's just a good bonus to have. And a little tip, the holster talent for the Diamondback gives you extra armor when you reload, 20% for every round for 3 seconds. And so a tip you can do is that if you're low on armor, say in PvP, and you're trying to run away or reposition with a player, if you're down to 1 shot left on your Diamondback, you can just blindly shoot that and then get up, and you'll get 10% bonus armor while you're reloading from the pistol, as well as 20% for every round. So that bonus armor every second will give you a little bit of survivability to let you get some distance between you and an opponent or whatever it may be. I've used that to my advantage several times. And then the last thing here is my specialization is the sharpshooter, and that's because of the perk for 25% extra headshot damage on rifles and marksman rifles. It's just letting me get a little bit extra damage here on the Diamondback. You can use the Technician instead and get the extra skill power and healing to make your heal and survivability better, but like I said previously, I am going for the most damage on this build possible. But there are some options if you want to switch it up. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything here. My armor, after it's all said and done, is 364.8, which isn't too high, but it's also not too low. And like I said, I think I've struck a good balance here, and I like where that's at. But if I had it my way, I'd have a Y'all backpack with higher flat armor, so it might go up a little bit from that. But yeah, that's the build, guys. I'm super proud of this one, and my time grinding has definitely paid off, so I hope you guys are able to put this one together and try it out for yourselves, because in my opinion, it's 100% worth it. If there was anything confusing in this video and you need something clarified about this build, just comment it down below, and I will be sure to address it. I go through all the comments that I receive, so just leave it down there. Just in case you missed how to get the rare items on this build, the Diamondback is a guaranteed drop from the Kenley College Expedition, the Hollow Man named mask is a drop from the DZ, the Firm Handshake named gloves are a random drop from PvE enemies and activities, and the Sawyer's knee pads exotic are a random drop on the world, made easier to obtain with targeted knee pad areas. Hopefully those pieces drop easily enough for you because they really help elevate this build. I'll also leave links in the description to my videos showcasing the Hollow Man mask and the Sawyer's knee pads, just in case you want to see more of those items. Okay, well, I think that about does it. Thanks for all your support lately, I appreciate all of you, and if you liked this build and the video helped you out in any way, a like would be super appreciated. And be sure to subscribe with notifications on for some more awesome Division 2 content. Until the next one, guys, RogueGold, out.
Contaminated gear detected. Nearby rogue agent killed. Contaminated gear. Contaminated gear detected. Agent down. Now detected contaminated gear. Rogue agent eliminated. Contaminated gear detected. Vital signs critical.